to change our way of seeing ourselves in the world, that we become students of plants, for example. We don't think we are at the top, we know everything. Actually, plants do amazing things. So, for example, in the Biennale I'm showing a piece called Holding the Mountain, which is a large drawing of 700 tiles. And it shows a plant called vetiver, which is endemic to the Himalayas. And it's being used in a kind of more than human collaboration between humans and plants to hold literally the mountain against the melting glaciers and the changing rainfall patterns due to climate change. So it creates erosion and the mountain falls apart. And plants are being used because these plants, vetiver, they have very long roots, 2-3 meter long roots, and hold the earth together. So it's a strong power to hold a mountain. So it's a kind of way of trying to think about how we can become more resilient also to the climate change that we have created through learning from plants and working with plants. The artist is to make images that we don't already have of the world, of things maybe that we don't see, that are not visible. It can take lots of different forms. In one work in the Biennale, I'm looking at roots, which are underground, and how the roots, plants, and the roots of plants collaborate with fungi in this also cross-species collaboration. Something that we don't see, we don't think about. And it also changes our way of thinking around evolution, for example, which we have taught is a fight of competition, but actually it can be a thing of collaboration, and we are stronger if we work together. In a lot of my work I have been interested in ghosts, which I think of as unfinished business from the past, as kind of demands for justice. A presence that is still here from the past that is unresolved, that we need to think about. And since it's not necessarily visible, we need to look for traces sort of not necessarily in the obvious sort of spots. So it could be a landscape, it could be plants that are telling us something. In Jerusalem, we find one of the last ruins, or only ruins, of over 400 depopulated villages and towns in Palestine that were depopulated during the Nakba in 1948. One of them is still there, it's called Lifta, and plants obviously have taken over and are growing over the buildings that are still there. So I got interested in looking at these buildings through the plants that are growing there, and how the plants, in a sense, become witnesses of what has been there, not in the way that we think of human witnesses, that they just tell a story, but of a presence, of being there, of witnessing something through their presence. It's not about proving something, it's about living with something. And the question is, how do we face this? How do we live with it? It's not just, oh, we've proven it, now we know. It's about, what do we do now with this colonial history? What do we do with our knowledge? How do we decolonialize our herbariums? How do we decolonialize the classification of plants? I hope that when people engage with the work, they sort of have a shift in their consciousness of sort of like seeing plants for what they are, for also how they interact with us, not just as a kind of ornamental surrounding. I'm also doing in the Biennale a performance which is called Reveries of Collective Walkers, where we read to plants. So we read texts about plants to the plants. So it's a kind of meditative exercise where we think of plants as a kind of interlocutor that we read to. The plants love the CO2 that we emit when we read. And it creates a different relationship because we address them. And I think just by addressing them, something quite strange but beautiful happens.